While working in a food line with some youth I had been helping to prepare for the sacrament of confirmation, I overheard Jenny say, "Don't tell them what we have for dessert. It will just make things complicated." It will just make things complicated. I wanted to say something about how choosing between cake or pie was probably the least complicated thing in this man's life. I knew I needed to carefully choose my words, while still challenging her to see the humanity in the people we were serving. So I offered this. "You have a choice of what you want to eat when you go to a restaurant, don't you? Why should it be any different for the people coming to eat here?" 11 months ago, I would not have had the same response because I had yet to experience my year of service with CVV at Urban Peak, a shelter and resource center for youth that are homeless or at risk of being homeless. Of the many things I have learned this year, one of the main themes has been that of choice. Like Jenny, many of us don't even think about the choices we are offered every day. The choice to sleep in a safe, clean place of our own. The choice of what I am going to eat, when I want to eat, and where I want to eat it. The choice of where to use the bathroom, where I am going to shower or do laundry. The list is never ending. These choices that we make in our subconscious are choices that my students do not have. The choices they do have are whether or not to stay with parents who are abusive to them, to a substance, or both, or to risk sleeping on the streets away from familial violence. They often have to choose between an education to help them get a career and a job to help them live. These choices are based on a priority scale most of us will never experience. As one of my students, Robert, once told me, "If I don't know where I am sleeping that night, everything else goes out the window." I do not have control over many of the choices my clients have to make. I don't have the time, money, or resources to help everyone obtain housing, mental health care, jobs, or education. I don't have control over the situations my students have been in before coming to my classroom, or the situations they will encounter during and after our journeys together. But I do have a little control over giving them positive choices to make when they are with me. I can help them in the choice to study for their GED, go back to high school, or pursue post-secondary educational options. At our recent GED graduation ceremony, I was humbly reminded of the choices my students make in order to start living a life of their choice. Million recounted his journey from Ethiopia to the United States and the hardships he encountered along the way. He told us of how he was able to pass 4 of the 5 GED tests soon after dropping out of high school, but how his priority scale changed drastically when he was kicked out of his house. 5 years later, Million took and passed his last test, finally making him the GED graduate he dreamed of being. Robert told us that it was the decision to live by the motto, business before pleasure, and choosing to surround himself with positive influences that led to him becoming a GED graduate. Mariela shared with us her passion for helping others and her desire to work in law enforcement now that she is a graduate. Amazingly, someone in the audience was so moved by her story that he offered Mariela an internship in his precinct. I may not have control over the choices my students are given and the decisions my students make, but I do have control over my own choices. And I choose to honor their choices, even if it is just the choice between cake or pie for dessert.